Today I'll be doing the top 10 most anticipated ride for my visit to Epic Universe. This video is scheduled to be released the day before I go to Epic Universe, and I wanted to see which of these rides I think will be the best. For almost all these rides, I've kept away from almost any spoilers, so other than a rough idea of the ride, I know almost nothing about what they are or what the layout is, but let's just start with number 10. Last place, but it still could be good, is Yoshi's Adventure. What am I kidding? This is barely even a ride. The only reason it's even on this list is because it says it is a ride on the Universal app, and I think it's better than the Carousel. But even though the thing is barely even a ride, and it being a ride is pretty questionable, it could give some nice views, since from my knowledge, it's basically just the People Mover at Disney World, where it's just a smooth time around the Mario area. The Mario Land looks phenomenal, and Yoshi Adventure looks to give some of the best views that you can get of the entire area. May not be thrilling or whatever like that, but still, it gives good views, plus the trains being Yoshis are pretty cute. Next up is Dragon Racer Rally. This is one of only two normal flat rides in this park, and this one is definitely the more thrilling option, being it's a Gerstlauer Fly Skyer, which is something that I've never done. Basically, the whole point of the ride is that you just sit there in these little ride vehicles with wings on each side, and you can actually control those, and based on how you turn them, you can be flipped or inverted throughout the ride. I think that this ride is pretty cool, since if you just want a normal ride, you can just sit there and do whatever you want, or if you want a lot of flips and make it more thrilling, you can. The only problem is that it doesn't look very themed. Now, it could be, I don't really know, and I've also heard it's very tricky to get a ton of flips, but other than that, it looks like to be a solid flat ride. The 8th spot goes to Fire Drill. Another ride from the How to Train Your Dragon area, and out of all rides at the park that I'll most likely skip, it's probably going to be this one, since I don't really like getting wet on my theme park days, but still, I just had to put it this high. I absolutely love the concept of this ride, being in the middle of the water, everyone's on a boat, and their only objective is to get the other boats as wet as possible. Imagine how cool it would be going around and just sniping people with water. That sounds like so much fun. But like I said, I don't really like getting wet a whole lot, so I might skip it on my visit, but the concept alone gets it to number 8. Next spot goes to Mario Kart's Bowser's Challenge. This dark ride, I don't really know how to feel about it. The queue and the outside of the ride look amazing, having some of the best detailing I have ever seen. But this ride just looks incredibly alright with it just being a bunch of screens and 3D glasses. Plus, it's Mario Kart, and it's cool how you're in those carts, but it looks like you just go way too slow when you're supposed to be running fast like a real car. Now, it does have some screens and other props that could make it a cool dark ride, and it is a Universal dark ride, so it could be really good, but we'll just see. But it looks to be on the lower side of Universal dark rides. 6th place is Curse of the Werewolf. This is a mock family spinner, and out of all things considered, it looks to be a good time. Anything with Dark Universe theming looks so amazing, and this ride is no exception, and a ride to werewolves is going to be definitely an interesting theme. The ride, hence the name, is going to be a spinner, where basically while you're in the train, it just spins while you're going around the course, which is super disorienting. Then another twist, there's a swing launch where you ride forward, launch backwards, and then launch forwards again, and swing launches are very fun, and will probably be the highlight of the ride, but overall, it just looks to be a very good family coaster, so it's gonna be good. There are so many good rides in consideration for the top 5, but the first one that I chose is... First of the top 5 goes to Hiccup's Wing Gliders. This coaster looks to be like a fun time going around the entire How to Train Your Dragon area, and I even think it could be a Hagrid's-like ride, but not quite themed or anything like that. It could be very similar where the queue line is pretty themed up, and then the ride is just a sprawling coaster. The coaster looks like to just ride over many other rides and buildings across the entire area, which looks very cool. And there is even a spot where it dives underwater under like a bridge or something that looks very, very cool. It may not be a intensity machine like Stardust Racers, but just a good themed family coaster with good views is going to be a very good ride. Up next is Donkey Kong Minecart Madness. This roller coaster looks so unique, and I can't wait to see what they do with it. Obviously, the main point of the ride is the trains that hang above the fake track, so it looks like you are just jumping from track to track, which is super cool. That combined with the theming that Universal is known for is going to create some crazy illusions that I just can't wait to see. And I'm also expecting some good theming and maybe some animatronic screens or some sort of set. I'm expecting some of those in the cartoonish style of Donkey Kong and just Mario as a whole, and I think it's going to be insanely cool. Can't wait for the entire Mario world as a whole. It just looks so cartoonish and fun. Third place is Harry Potter: The Ministry of Magic. I have heard mixed reviews of this ride, but I still think it is going to be very good. Universal was hyping this up to be their most ambitious ride to date, and I don't know if that's going to be actually true or not, but Universal has had some crazy rides in the past, so even if it's like almost there, it's going to be interesting to see what it does. Then the Harry Potter theming should be pretty cool, and I never read any of the books or watched any of the movies, so my knowledge is pretty limited, but I know it's about a corrupt teacher from Hogwarts or something like that. Again, I never read the books, none of that, never really touched that. But I know that she is running away from her trial and you have to go catch her. Should be good and interesting overall. Runner-up is Monsters Unchained. This has been one of the most hyped up rides for me going into this park, since I think the combination of the theming and the ride vehicles is just going to create an amazing experience. The ride vehicles are the Kuka Arms, which is one of the greatest ride vehicles ever created that allows for insane screens, amazing sets, but the only problem is that they are so expensive, and the only ones that were ever created before this were the other Harry Potter rides, so I am glad that we are finally seeing another one. Then the area of the Monsters universe and Frankenstein as a whole looks so good, and seeing the Kuka Arm ride with all the spooky, dark theming is just creating a ride that I just can't wait for. Number 1 for me has to be Stardust Racers. This had to be number 1, and it could be a top 10 coaster that I've been on. I have heard things from this mock launch coaster, and some even say that it's better than Velocicoaster, which is an insane thing to say, but man, it might be true. The thing has 2 launches, which on a mock coaster are usually not that punchy, but we will see, and also many other elements. It has many airtime moments that could be strong ejector, as well as many cool looking inversions that weave in between each other. It looks incredible. All the rolls twisting in between the other side look sick, and this is definitely going to be one of the best dueling coasters that I've ever ridden, and again, like I said, maybe a top 10 coaster, can't wait. But this coaster looks amazing overall, and it had to be my number 1 for most anticipated. Thanks for watching, I can't wait for this park, and it's going to be insane, but other than that, have a good day.